"Save my children," the widow begged, her voice breaking. The man on horseback didn't answer right away. He only watched her, as if he already knew this meeting was no accident. Maren Colby staggered through the Colorado blizzard, carrying more than 2 exhausted children. She carried impossible choices. What she didn't know was who had truly emerged from the snow. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't someone she should trust. He was exactly the kind of man she'd been warned about her entire life. When Maren finally begged him to take her children, 3 words were spoken. Simple, steady, irreversible. And in that moment, everything changed. Because sometimes danger doesn't come to destroy. It comes to decide. Sometimes letting go opens a path that was never meant to exist. And sometimes when you have nothing left, someone decides you are worth everything. But this story doesn't begin with salvation. It begins with fear. Before we continue, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Colorado Territory, 1876. Winter. Maren Colby's hands shook as she buttoned Ivy's threadbare coat one last time, knowing she'd never see her daughter wear it again. Outside, the blizzard screamed like something dying. Inside, her children were already halfway there. She'd made her choice. Better they live with strangers than die watching their mother fail them. The walk to Fort Collins would probably kill her, but it would save them. Owen coughed from the corner. That wet, rattling sound that meant his lungs were filling with fluid she had no medicine to fight. Ivy sat beside him, quiet, too quiet. She'd stopped asking for food yesterday, which was somehow worse than the begging. 3 days until the bank took the cabin. 4 months since the mine collapse took Jacob. 4 months of watching everything slip away despite every desperate effort to hold on. The insurance money, gone. The mine company's lawyer had found some clause, some exception, some way to ensure a widow and her babies didn't interfere with profit margins. The neighbors had helped at first, but winter was cruel to everyone and charity had limits when your own children were hungry. Maren had tried. God above, she'd tried. She'd taken in washing until her hands bled. She'd sold everything that wasn't nailed down. She'd begged the bank for more time. This morning she'd boiled the last handful of oats into a paste so thin you could see through it. Had divided it between Owen and Ivy while pretending she'd already eaten. The lie had come so easily. That's how she knew it was over. "Mama?" Ivy's voice drifted across the frozen cabin. "Is Papa coming home today?" The question landed like a blade between Maren's ribs. She'd stopped trying to explain death to a 5-year-old, stopped trying to make sense of a world where good men died and their families starved. "No, baby. But I'm cold. I know. Really cold, Mama." Maren closed her eyes, pressed her forehead against the frost-covered window until it burned. Behind her, Owen's cough tore through the silence, wet and desperate. She turned, looked at them, really looked. Owen was 8, had his father's dark hair and serious eyes. Used to read everything he could get his hands on, used to ask questions about how things worked. Now he just stared at nothing, saving his energy for breathing. Ivy was 5, blonde curls that used to bounce when she laughed, had been her father's shadow. Now she was so quiet Maren sometimes forgot she was there. They were dying, slowly, quietly, dying in front of her, and Maren was powerless to stop it. The decision crystallized like ice forming on still water, clear, cold, inevitable. The orphanage in Fort Collins, Mrs. Morrison who ran it, she'd take them, she had to take them. At least there they'd have food, warmth, a chance. Even if it destroyed Maren, even if walking away from her children killed something in her that could never be repaired, better they hate her for abandoning them than die watching her fail. "Listen to me," Maren whispered, kneeling beside them. "Both of you." Owen's eyes found hers. Ivy burrowed closer. "We're going into town, to Fort Collins." "In this storm?" Owen's voice was weak but sharp, always asking the right questions. "We don't have a choice anymore." "Why?" "Because I'm out of options. Because you're dying. Because I'd rather lose you than watch you starve. Because there are people there who can help, who have warm houses and food. Are we staying with them?" Hope flickered in Owen's voice. Hope was worse than the coughing. "You are, baby. You and Ivy." Silence. Then, "Without you?" Maren couldn't answer. Her throat had closed completely. Owen pulled back, stared at her with eyes too old for his face. "Mama, no. It's just for a little while. You're lying. His voice cracked. You're leaving us. I'm saving you. I don't want to be saved. I want to stay with you. That's not one of the choices. Then I choose dying. The words hit like a fist. Maren grabbed his shoulders. Don't you ever say that. Don't you ever... She couldn't finish. Pulled him close. Ivy, too. Held them both while they cried. It's going to be all right, she lied. I promise. But Owen had stopped listening. He was 8 years old and smart enough to recognize a fantasy when he heard one. Maren dressed them in every layer they owned. Owen's coat was too small, sleeves ending 3 inches above his wrists. Ivy's had been charity from a neighbor. Still felt like humiliation. She dressed herself in the black dress from Jacob's funeral. Seemed appropriate. She was burying something today, too. Are we walking? Owen asked. Yes. In this? He gestured at the window where snow pelted the glass. We don't have a choice. He understood. She could see it in his face. They were out of time, out of options, out of everything except the awful math that said 2 children might live if 1 woman didn't. The walk to Fort Collins was 2 miles. Might as well have been 200. Maren opened the door and the blizzard screamed in like something alive. Something angry. Snow bit exposed skin. Wind tried to shove them back inside. The cold was so intense it burned. Stay close, Maren shouted over the wind. Hold on to my skirt. Don't let go. They stumbled into the storm. The world disappeared immediately. White everywhere, no direction, no landmarks. Just endless frozen chaos. Maren kept moving, 1 foot forward, then another. Owen's hand fisted in her skirt on one side, Ivy on the other. She was their anchor, their only hope. Mama, I can't feel my feet, Ivy cried, and keep walking. I'm scared. I know, keep walking. They'd been moving maybe 20 minutes when Owen's hand suddenly released her skirt. Maren's heart stopped. She whirled. Daniel. He'd fallen, just collapsed into the snow. Owen! She dropped beside him, pulled him up. His eyes were unfocused, his lips blue. Stay with me, Owen. Can't, he whispered. So tired, Mama. No, you don't get to be tired. Get up. Just let me rest. Just for a minute. Terror flooded her. She knew what happened to people who rested in blizzards. Ivy, help me. Together they hauled Owen to his feet. He swayed, nearly fell. I can't do it. Can't walk anymore. Maren looked around desperately. Nothing but white. They'd barely made it a 1/4 mile. This was it. This was how they died. Then Ivy screamed. Mama, look! Through the snow, a shape, dark against white, moving, coming toward them. A man on horseback. He materialized from the blizzard like something conjured. Tall in the saddle, shoulders broad under a long coat. The horse beneath him was massive, steam rising from its nostrils. The rider pulled up when he saw them. For a moment, nobody moved. Then the man swung down in one fluid motion, and Maren saw his face, Apache. Fear spiked through her. The settlers warned about Indians, about danger, about... But he was already moving, dropping to his knees beside Owen. Sweet Christ. His voice was rough, deep. What are you doing out here? Maren tried to answer. Couldn't. Her teeth were chattering too hard. The man looked from her to the children and back. His eyes were dark, assessing. Where are you headed? Fort Collins. That's 2 miles. You'll never make it. Have to. Why? How did you explain? How did you say I'm taking my children to surrender them because watching them die is worse? The stranger seemed to read something in her silence. His jaw tightened. There's a line shack 1/2 mile north. We can make that. But Fort Collins, you'll freeze before you reach it. No, have to get to town. Have to... Lady, I don't know what you think you need to do, but you won't do it dead. His voice was firm. You've got 2 choices. Come with me to shelter or stand here arguing until you freeze. Which is it? Owen coughed. That terrible sound. Maren looked at him, at Ivy, both shaking, lips blue, eyes glazed. All right. The stranger nodded once. Turned to Owen. Can you ride? Owen nodded weakly. The man lifted him like he weighed nothing, set him on the horse. Turned to Ivy. You too, little one. He swung Ivy up behind her brother, looked at Maren. You'll have to walk. Horse can't carry 4, but I'll break trail. Why are you helping us? The question came out before she could stop it. The stranger's face was unreadable. Because if I don't, you'll die. And I've seen enough people die. He took the reins, started walking north. Into white nothing. Maren followed. She stopped thinking, stopped feeling, just moved, 1 foot, then another. The stranger was a dark shape ahead. The horse. Her children. Time stopped meaning anything. Then, the stranger stopped. There. Maren looked up, saw a structure. Small, half buried in snow, but solid. Real. The stranger moved fast, tied the horse, lifted the children down, pushed open the door. Inside, Maren stumbled through the doorway. The sudden absence of wind felt like a miracle. The space was tiny. 1 room. Stone fireplace, but it was shelter. The stranger was already working. Get them out of those wet clothes. I'll get a fire going. Maren's hands shook as she stripped the frozen coats. The stranger knelt at the fireplace. Within minutes, flame caught. Heat began to fill the space. Blankets. He pointed to a chest. Maren found them. Wrapped the children. They huddled near the fire. The stranger stood, looked at her. Now you. I'm fine. You're soaked through. You'll die of pneumonia. I said I'm fine. He moved closer, voice dropping. I just saved your life. Don't throw it away because you're too proud to get warm. Something in his voice. Understanding. Maren's resistance crumbled. He turned his back while she changed, wrapped herself in wool. Done? Yes. He turned. Pulled food from his saddlebags. Dried meat. Pemmican. More food than Maren had seen in weeks. Eat. The children ate like they'd never seen food before. Because they hadn't. Not like this, not in months. Maren watched them, tears sliding down her face. The stranger sat across the fire. I'm kitschy. Maren. What were you really doing out there, Maren? Truth this time. She couldn't lie. Too exhausted. Too broken. I was taking them to the orphanage, to surrender them, because I can't feed them anymore. Because my husband died and the company cheated us, and I'm 3 days from losing everything and they're starving, and I'd rather give them away than watch them die. She expected judgment, expected him to call her terrible mother. Instead, Kitschy's face went hard, sad. My wife died 2 years ago in childbirth. The baby died with her. I know what it's like to lose everything. Silence. Then, but you're not giving these children away. I won't allow it. No one gets left behind. Not on my watch. Maren stared at him. What? Work for me. I need help at my ranch. I'll pay wages, provide housing, food for all 3 of you. I don't understand. I'm offering you a job, a home, a chance. Take it. Why would you? Because I can. Because they need help. Because you do too. Because... He stopped. Because I won't watch another family destroyed when I have the power to prevent it. Maren looked at Owen, at Ivy, both warm now, fed, alive. Yes, she whispered. Yes. Please. Yes. Then it's settled. When the storm breaks, we go to my ranch. You work, they live. That's the deal. What's the catch? No catch. Just honest work for honest pay. Nothing more. But looking at him, this Apache stranger who'd appeared from a blizzard and offered salvation, Maren couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. That, walking into that storm, had led her exactly where she needed to be, even if she didn't understand it yet. The storm broke at dawn. Maren had managed maybe 2 hours of sleep, kept jerking awake to make sure her children were still breathing, still warm, still real. Kitschy had stayed awake all night, tending the fire, keeping watch. When morning came, he was already saddling his horse. We ride double, he told Maren. You behind me with Ivy. Owen in front. It's 3 miles to the ranch. Maren had ridden maybe twice in her life. Never on a horse this large. Never with an Apache man she'd known less than 12 hours. But Owen was coughing again and Ivy was so weak she could barely stand, and Maren was out of choices. All right. The landscape looked different in daylight. Endless white. Beautiful in a hostile way. Kitschy rode with confidence, clearly knew this territory like breathing. They crested a hill and Maren's breath caught. Below spread a valley, and in that valley, a ranch, massive, sprawling, buildings that spoke of wealth and permanence and power. That's yours? Her voice was disbelief. Yes. You said you needed help. I do, I'm not lying about that. But this wasn't a small homestead needing a housekeeper. This was an empire. What was she walking into? They reached the main house, beautiful, sturdy, smoke rising from multiple chimneys. Kitschy dismounted, lifted the children down, helped Maren. The door opened before they reached it. A woman stood there, maybe 50, Apache, stern face, gray-threaded black hair pulled back severely. She looked at Maren and the children like they were mud tracked onto clean floors. "Kitchi," her voice was cold. "What is this?" "Shyla, this is Maren and her children. They'll be staying, working. You brought white strays into our home?" "I brought people who need help into my home, prepare rooms, food, they're exhausted." Shyla's face was stone, but she stepped aside. Inside was warmth, real warmth. Furniture, rugs, things Maren hadn't seen in months. "Shyla manages the household," Kitchi explained. "She'll show you where everything is, get you settled." Shyla looked like she'd rather eat glass. "This way." Her voice was ice. She led them down a hallway, opened a door to a small room. 2 beds, simple but clean. "You'll stay here. Children share one bed. You take the other. Breakfast is at dawn. You'll work for your keep. Understand?" "Yes." "Good." Shyla turned to leave. Stopped. "One more thing. Don't get comfortable. You're here because Kitchi has a soft heart, but soft hearts don't last. You'll be gone by spring." She left. Owen looked at Maren. "She doesn't like us. She doesn't know us yet. Will she make us leave?" "I won't let that happen." But Maren wasn't sure she could keep that promise. Food came an hour later, brought by a younger woman who smiled shyly. Actual food, meat, vegetables, bread, fresh milk. The children ate until Maren thought they'd be sick. She ate too, first real meal in weeks. They'd hurt going down. Her stomach had forgotten what plenty felt like. That night, tucking them into actual beds with actual blankets, Ivy whispered, "Is this heaven, Mama?" Maren's throat closed. "No, baby. Just somewhere safe." "Can we stay?" "I don't know. I want to stay." "Me too." The next morning, Shyla woke Maren before dawn. "Up. Work starts now." She led Maren to the kitchen, pointed to a mountain of dishes. "Start there, then laundry, then floors, then—" She listed 20 tasks. Impossible to finish in one day. Maren started washing. By midday, her hands were raw, her back ached, but she kept working. Owen appeared. "Shyla says I have to chop wood." He was 8, barely recovered from nearly freezing to death. "I'll talk to her." "No." Owen's voice was firm. "We have to earn our keep," you said. He left before she could argue. Ivy was assigned kitchen work, peeling vegetables with a knife too large for her small hands. Shyla was testing them, seeing if they'd break. Maren worked until her hands bled, until her legs shook, until she couldn't feel her feet. She didn't complain, didn't ask for easier tasks, just worked. Because at least her children were eating, at least they were warm, at least they were alive, even if Shyla was determined to break her. 3 weeks passed. Maren worked harder than she'd ever worked. Shyla found new tasks daily, impossible tasks, tasks designed to make Maren quit. But Maren didn't quit. Owen's cough cleared. Ivy gained weight. Both started smiling again. That was worth everything. And Kitchi watched. Maren felt his eyes on her constantly. When she worked, when she played with the children, when she thought no one was looking. He was kind in small ways, making sure she got enough food, giving Owen lighter work, bringing Ivy a carved wooden horse that made her squeal with joy. But he kept distance, respected boundaries, never crossed lines, until the night Maren was crying. She'd tried to hide it, went outside after the children slept, let the tears come where no one would see, but Kitchi found her. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "You're crying." "I'm fine." He sat beside her, close, but not touching. "Shyla is hard on you. She has every right to be. I'm white, taking space in an Apache home, using resources. You're working yourself to exhaustion. You've earned every meal, every blanket, everything. Have I? Because some days I'm not sure. Some days I think she's right, that I'm just white strays taking advantage of your kindness, that I should—" "Stop." His voice was firm. "Shyla is testing you, to see if you'll break, to see if you're strong enough to belong here. Why does it matter if I belong?" Kitchi was quiet for a long moment. "Because I want you to belong. Because from the moment I saw you in that storm, willing to die to save your children, I knew you were extraordinary. And He stopped, started again. "I'm falling in love with you. I've been trying not to, trying to respect the boundaries, but I can't stop." Maren's breath caught. "You can't. I'm just your employee. I'm white and poor and nothing. You're everything. You're strong and fierce, and you love your children with a power I've never seen." You work without complaining. You're grateful without being servile. You're extraordinary, and I can't stop seeing it. Can't stop wanting more than this. More than employer and employee, more than... Kitchi, Voices, horses, coming toward the house. Kitchi stood immediately. Stay here. He walked toward the approaching riders. Maren followed at a distance. An older man dismounted. Apache, maybe 60, commanding presence. Authority radiating from him like heat. Chief Ahiga. Kitchi's voice held respect. I wasn't expecting you. I came to discuss your future, Kitchi. It's time. Time for what? Time you stopped living like a widower and started living like a leader. I've chosen a wife for you. Kiona, from the Northern Band. Strong, Apache, appropriate. The elders agreed. You'll marry her in 2 months. Maren's heart stopped. Kitchi's face went carefully blank. Chief Ahiga, I appreciate the honor, but this isn't negotiable. You've been alone 2 years. It's time you honored your responsibilities to our people. Kiona arrives next week. She'll stay here 3 weeks before the ceremony. Get to know her, you'll find her acceptable. I'm not sure... Kitchi, the chief's voice hardened. You respect me. You respect tradition. Don't make me question that respect. Silence. Then, I understand. I'll welcome Kiona when she arrives. The chief nodded, mounted, rode away. Kitchi stood frozen. Maren couldn't move either. He turned, saw her standing there. His face was devastation. Maren, it's fine. Her voice sounded distant. You have responsibilities, I understand. I don't want... It doesn't matter what you want. You just agreed to marry someone else. That's the end of it. It doesn't have to be. Yes, it does. Maren forced herself to meet his eyes. You're Apache. You honor your chief, your tradition. I'm white. I'm nothing. I was a fool to think anything else was possible. She walked away before he could respond, before she started crying again, because she'd been stupid. Stupid to think someone like Kitchi could choose someone like her. Stupid to let herself feel something. Stupid to hope. She was a widow with 2 children and nothing else. He was wealthy Apache royalty, essentially, with responsibilities to his people. Of course he'd marry an appropriate Apache woman. Of course she'd been temporary. She'd known that from the start, had tried to protect herself, but somehow she'd let her guard down anyway. And now it was going to destroy her. Kiona arrived exactly 1 week later. Maren was scrubbing floors when the horses came. She looked up through the window, saw a woman dismount. Apache. Beautiful, maybe 28. Confident. The kind of woman who'd never scrubbed a floor in her life. This was Kitchi's intended bride. Maren's stomach twisted. Shyla rushed past. That's Kiona, Kitchi's bride. You'll address her with respect. Understand? Yes. Good. Now get back to work. And keep those children quiet. Kiona won't tolerate disruption. Maren kept scrubbing. Tried not to watch as Kitchi greeted Kiona. Tried not to see the way she touched his arm, the way she smiled. Tried not to feel her heart breaking. That evening, Kiona swept into the kitchen where Maren was preparing dinner. You're the white woman. Her voice was cold, assessing. I'm Maren. I work here. I know what you are. I also know what you're trying to do. I'm not trying to do anything except work. You're trying to seduce Kitchi, using your children to manipulate his kindness. It won't work. He's mine. The chief chose me. Tradition demands it. You're nothing. Remember that. Before Maren could respond, Kiona turned and left. Over the next days, Kiona made Maren's life hell, in ways Shyla never had. Accidentally spilling hot water on Maren's hands, making Owen work in freezing rain until his cough came back, slapping Ivy for asking for water. And Kitchi was trapped. He had to honor the chief's choice, had to respect tradition, even though Maren could see it was killing him. 1 week into Kiona's stay, Maren found Ivy crying in the kitchen. What's wrong, baby? Miss Kiona hit me, said I was disrespectful, but I just asked for water. I was thirsty. Rage flooded through Maren. Immediate, incandescent. She stormed out, found Kiona in the main room. You hit my daughter. Kiona barely looked up. She was rude. She's 5 years old and she asked for water. She's a servant's child. She needs to know her place. Her place? She's a child. She's your child, and you're both here on Kitchi's charity. When I'm his wife, that charity ends. You'll all leave. I won't have white strays contaminating my household. Something in Maren snapped. You don't own this house yet, and you'll never hit my daughter again, ever. Do you understand me? Are you threatening me? Kiona's voice was ice. You're a widow. A servant, you have no power here. I have the power of a mother protecting her child, and if you touch her again, You'll what? You're nothing. Kitchi is marrying me because the chief demands it, because tradition demands it. Your feelings, whatever pathetic feelings you think you have for him, they mean nothing. He'll do his duty, and you'll leave. That's how this ends. Before Maren could respond, Shyla appeared. But instead of defending Kiona, Shyla's face was hard, disapproving. Miss Kiona, hitting children is not our way. If you wish to be lady of this household, you'll act accordingly. Discipline is one thing. Cruelty is another. Don't confuse them. Kiona looked shocked. Shyla had authority even over her. I'll discipline children as I see fit. No, you won't. Not under this roof, not while I manage it. Kiona's face flushed. She swept out. Shyla turned to Maren. Her expression was complicated. That woman is not fit to be Kitchi's wife, but the chief chose her. The chief made a mistake. Tradition matters, but so does character. Kiona has none. Shyla paused. I was wrong about you, Maren. I thought you were weak, using your children to manipulate Kitchi, but you're not. You're strong. You work harder than anyone, you love fiercely, and you're good for him. He's been dead inside since his wife passed. You brought him back to life. It doesn't matter. He's marrying her. Maybe. Maybe not. But if you love him, really love him, don't give up without fighting. He deserves happiness. You deserve security. Those children deserve a father who actually loves them. She left before Maren could respond. That night, Kitchi found Maren outside again. I heard what happened with Kiona and Ivy. Shyla handled it. I should have handled it. I should have. He stopped. I'm sorry for all of this, for bringing you here, for making you hope, for failing you. You haven't failed me. You saved my life. You've given my children food and warmth and safety. That's more than I could have asked. But it's not enough, is it? Because I want more. I want you. I want your children. I want a life with you. But I can't. I can't defy the chief, can't break tradition, can't. Then don't do your duty. Marry Kiona. Be the leader your people need. I'll figure something out. We'll leave before the wedding. Find somewhere else. Somewhere we won't be in the way. Maren, no. It's better this way, cleaner. You can't build a future with me while you're bound to her, and I won't watch you marry someone else. I can't. It'll destroy me. It's destroying me too. They stood there, so close, not touching, both breaking. Then Kiona's voice cut through the night. How touching. The servant and her master. Kitchi, we need to talk. About inappropriate relationships with staff. She'd been watching, listening. Kitchi's jaw tightened. There's nothing inappropriate, isn't there? You spend time alone with her, you defend her children. You look at her like she matters. That stops, now. Chief Ahiga needs to know about this, about how you're disrespecting our engagement, about how this white woman is seducing you. She's not seducing anyone. Shyla's voice came from the shadows. She works. She mothers her children. She minds her business. You, however, have been cruel since you arrived. Hitting children. Threatening staff. Acting like you own something you haven't earned. That's not the Apache way. That's not honorable. How dare you? I dare because I've managed this household for 20 years. Because I knew Kitchi's wife. Because I know what leadership looks like. And Kiona, you're not it. You want Kitchi's wealth, not Kitchi's heart. That's not a foundation for marriage. Kiona's face went purple with rage. I'm telling the chief. About all of you. About this. This conspiracy to prevent our marriage. He'll... Tell him, Kitchi said quietly. Tell him I'm in love with Maren. Tell him I don't want to marry you. Tell him I'm choosing her. I don't care anymore. I'm done pretending. Silence. Complete silence. Kiona stared at him. You're defying the chief? For her? Yes. You'll lose everything. Your standing. Your respect. I'll lose nothing that matters. The chief chose you based on tradition, but he doesn't know you. Doesn't know you're cruel to children. Doesn't know you threatened my staff. Doesn't know you've shown no honor since arriving. Once he knows the truth, he'll understand. And if he doesn't, if he chooses tradition over truth, then maybe I'm in the wrong tribe. You're insane. You're throwing away everything for a white widow with bastard children. Call them that again, and I'll forget you're a guest. Kitchi's voice was dangerous. Those children are under my protection. Marin is under my protection, and if you can't respect that, you can leave right now, tonight. I'll have horses saddled immediately. Kiona looked around, at Kitchi, at Shyla, at Marin, realizing she'd lost. The chief will hear about this. Good, let him. I welcome that conversation. Kiona fled inside. Kitchi turned to Marin. His face was open, vulnerable. I meant it, every word. I don't want her. I want you. And I'm willing to fight for that. For us. If you'll have me. If you'll take a chance on this. Marin couldn't speak, could barely breathe. I love you, Marin. I love your children. I want to build a life with you. Not because I feel sorry for you, not because I'm being charitable, but because you're extraordinary. Because you make me feel alive again, because I can't imagine my future without you in it. Please, please say yes. Marin looked at him. This Apache man who'd saved her from a blizzard, who'd given her children food and warmth, who'd fallen in love with her despite every reason not to, who was willing to defy his chief for her. Yes, she whispered. Yes, always yes. I love you too. I've been trying not to, but I can't help it. You're everything I never knew I needed. Kitchi pulled her close, kissed her. Finally. And Marin understood. Walking into that blizzard had led her exactly where she belonged. To a man who said, no one gets left behind, and meant it. To a family she'd never expected. To a love worth fighting for, even if the battle was just beginning. Chief Ahiga arrived 2 days later. Marin was in the kitchen when she heard the horses, multiple horses. She looked out and saw the chief with 4 warriors. His face was stone. Kiona had made good on her threat. Shyla appeared beside Marin. Stay calm. Let Kitchi handle this. He's going to send us away. Maybe, maybe not. But don't assume defeat before the battle's even started. They watched through the window as Kitchi greeted the chief. The conversation was brief, tense. Then both men walked toward the house. Ahiga entered like a storm. His presence filled the room, demanded attention. Kitchi. His voice was hard. Kiona came to me with disturbing news. She says you've refused to honor our arrangement, that you're... His eyes found Marin. Involved with your white servant, that you've defied tradition, embarrassed our people. Explain. Kitchi stood tall, met the chief's eyes without flinching. Everything Kiona said is true. I love Marin. I won't marry Kiona. I'm choosing Marin. You're choosing a white widow over the woman I selected? Over tradition? Over duty? I'm choosing love over obligation. I'm choosing character over convenience. I'm choosing a woman who's extraordinary over a woman who's merely appropriate. Ahiga's face darkened. You forget yourself. I am your chief. I chose Kiona because she's strong. Apache. Suitable to be your wife. This white woman is... Everything Kiona isn't, Kitchi interrupted. Strong where Kiona is cruel. Humble where Kiona is arrogant. Loving where Kiona is cold. Chief Ahiga, with respect, you don't know Kiona. You know her family, her status. But you don't know her character. And her character is... He stopped. It's lacking. How dare you question my judgment? I question your information. You made a decision based on incomplete facts. Let me give you the complete picture. Kiona appeared in the doorway, smiling, confident. Chief Ahiga, I'm glad you're here. Kitchi has been... Where's the child? Shyla's voice cut through. The little girl, Ivy. Where is she? I don't know. Why would I... Because I saw you drag her outside 20 minutes ago. Heard you yelling at her. Where is she? Kiona's face flushed. She was being disrespectful. I was teaching her. Teaching her what? Marin's voice was dangerous. Where's my daughter? Outside somewhere. She's fine. She's just... Marin was already moving. Out the door. Into the cold. Ivy! Ivy! She found her behind the barn, huddled in the snow, crying. Her dress was soaked. She was shivering violently. Baby! Oh God, baby! Marin scooped her up. Ivy was freezing. Her lips were blue. Miss Kiona said I was bad. Said I had to stay outside until I learned my place. Said if I moved, she'd hurt Owen. So I stayed. I stayed, Mama. I didn't move. Rage flooded through Marin. Pure, incandescent, overwhelming. She carried Ivy inside, walked straight past everyone to the fireplace, wrapped her daughter in blankets. Then she turned to face Kiona. You left my 5-year-old daughter outside in the cold. You threatened to hurt my son if she moved. Her voice broke. You could have killed her. I was teaching her discipline. You were torturing a child. Marin's voice rose. Because you're cruel. Because you're small. Because hurting people makes you feel powerful. Well, congratulations. You made a 5-year-old cry. You must feel very strong. How dare you speak to me? I dare because I'm her mother. And you tried to hurt my child. There's nothing you could do to me that's worse than that. Nothing. Chief Ahiga's voice was ice. Is this true? Did you leave that child outside? Kiona's face went pale. I was just... She was disrespectful. Answer the question. Did you leave a 5-year-old outside in the cold? Silence then. She needed to learn, yes or no? Yes, but she... Enough. Ahiga turned to Shyla. Is this the first time? Has she mistreated these children before? Shyla's face was grim. She hit the girl, slapped her for asking for water, made the boy work in freezing rain until his cough returned, spilled hot water on Marin's hands accidentally 3 times. She's been cruel since she arrived. Why wasn't I informed? Because you chose her. Because tradition demanded she be given a chance. Because I hoped, she might improve. But she hasn't. She's gotten worse. And now she's endangered a child. That crosses a line. Ahiga turned back to Kiona. His face was harder than Marin had ever seen. I chose you because your family has honor. Because I believed you had character. I was wrong. You've shown cruelty to children. Dishonored yourself. Embarrassed me. You're not fit to be Kitchi's wife. You're not fit to be part of any household that values honor. Chief Ahiga, please. The engagement is cancelled. You'll return to your band. You'll tell them why. You'll tell them you failed to meet the standards required, and you'll tell them that I was wrong to choose you, that I misjudged your character. That is my failure, but it ends now. Kiona's face crumpled. You're sending me away? For her, for this white woman and her... I'm sending you away because you tortured a child, because you've shown no honor, because you're not who I thought you were. This has nothing to do with Marin. This is about you, about your choices, about your cruelty. Take responsibility for that. Kiona looked around, at the chief, at Kitchi, at Marin, realizing she'd lost everything. You'll regret this, all of you. When people hear that you chose a white widow over Apache tradition, then let them hear. Let them know I chose character over tradition when tradition failed. Let them know I chose honor over obligation. Let them know I was wrong and I corrected my mistake. That's leadership. That's what chiefs do. We make hard choices, even when those choices are admitting we were wrong. Ahiga gestured to his warriors. Escort her back to her band. Make sure she arrives safely, then return. Kiona was led out, still protesting, still threatening, but no one listened. After she left, silence filled the room. Then Ahiga turned to Kitchi. You defied me, publicly. That's serious. I know. You chose love over duty. I chose truth over tradition. There's a difference. Explain. Kitchi took a breath. You taught me that a chief protects his people. All his people. Not just the strong, not just the convenient. All of them. Marin came to me dying, her children dying. I had the power to help, so I did. That's what you taught me. That's what leadership means. And falling in love with her. That wasn't planned, but it happened. Because she's extraordinary. She works harder than anyone. She loves her children with a fierceness I've never seen. She's grateful without being servile. She's strong without being hard. She's everything I didn't know I needed. And yes, I love her. I won't apologize for that. Ahiga was quiet for a long moment, studying Kitchi, then Marin, then the children. Marin, his voice was less harsh. Come here. Marin's heart hammered, but she stood, crossed to him, met his eyes. Kitchi says you're extraordinary. Prove it. Tell me why I should approve this. Why I should accept a white woman as wife to one of our most important leaders. Why I should break tradition for you. Marin's throat was tight, but she forced herself to speak. I don't know if I can prove I'm extraordinary. I'm just a mother who was desperate enough to walk through a blizzard to save her children, who was willing to give them away because watching them die was worse than losing them. Kitchi found us, saved us, gave us a home when we had nothing, and I fell in love with him, not because he's wealthy, not because he's powerful, but because he's kind, because he saw worth in us when no one else did, because he said, no one gets left behind, and meant it. She took a breath. I can't promise I'll be a perfect Apache wife. I don't know your traditions well. I'm still learning your language. I'm white, and that will always make some people uncomfortable. But I can promise I'll love him completely. I'll honor him. I'll work harder than anyone to prove I deserve the home he's given me, and I'll teach my children to respect Apache ways, to value honor and character and truth. If that's not enough, if being white makes me unacceptable, then I understand. But I won't apologize for loving him, or for being grateful he loved me back. Silence. Ahiga studied her, his face unreadable. Then, you walked through a blizzard to save your children. Yes. You were willing to give them away rather than watch them die. Yes. He paused. That's the hardest choice a parent can make. The most selfless, the most loving. You didn't give up. You didn't quit. You did what you had to do to save them, even though it destroyed you. I would do it again. I would do worse. They're my children. They're everything. Ahiga nodded slowly. That's what I needed to hear. That's what makes you worthy. Not your race, not your status, your character, your love, your willingness to sacrifice everything for those you protect. That's Apache. That's what we value. That's what leadership looks like. He turned to Kitchi. You want to marry her? More than anything. Then you have my blessing. Marry her. Build a life with her. Raise her children as Apache. Teach them our ways. Show them honor. And prove to our people that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. About love. About refusing to leave anyone behind. Kitchi's breath caught. You're approving. I'm approving. I was wrong about Kiona. Wrong to force tradition without considering character. You saw what I didn't. You chose wisely. I'm proud of you for having the courage to defy me when I was wrong. That's what good leaders do. They stand up for truth even when it's hard, even when it costs them. He turned back to Maren. Welcome to our family. You've earned it. Don't make me regret this. I won't. I promise. I'll make you proud. You already have. By loving him enough to fight for him, by being strong enough to survive, by raising children who are kind despite suffering. That's everything. After Ahiga left, Kitchi pulled Maren close, held her like he'd never let go. We did it, he whispered. We actually did it. I can't believe he approved. He saw what I saw, what Shyla saw, what everyone who isn't blind sees, that you're extraordinary, that you're worth fighting for, that you're everything. Maren looked up at him. This man who'd saved her from a blizzard, who'd fallen in love with her, who'd defied his chief for her. I love you. So much it terrifies me. So much I don't know what to do with it. Just love me back. That's all I need. Just choose me. Every day, forever. That's enough. That's everything. Forever, Maren agreed. No matter what. Forever. And for the first time in months, maybe years, Maren believed in forevers again. Believed in hope. Believed in love worth fighting for. They married 1 month later. The ceremony was beautiful, a blend of Apache and white traditions. Maren wore a dress Shyla helped her make, white with Apache beadwork. Owen and Ivy stood beside them, both healthy now, both smiling. Chief Ahiga officiated, his presence a blessing, a statement. This marriage, he told the gathered crowd, represents what we should be, what we can be. Kitchi chose love over tradition when tradition failed, chose character over obligation, chose truth over convenience. That's leadership, that's honor. That's what makes us strong, not blood, not race, not status, but choice, love, courage to do what's right even when it's hard. He turned to Maren. You proved yourself worthy not by being Apache, but by being extraordinary, by loving fiercely, by surviving impossibly, by teaching us all that family isn't about where you come from. It's about who you choose to be. Welcome, daughter. Welcome home. Maren cried through the entire ceremony. Happy tears. Grateful tears. I can't believe this is real tears. When Kitchi kissed her, the crowd cheered. Apache and white settlers who'd come to witness. All celebrating. All accepting. It wasn't perfect. Some people whispered, some disapproved. Some would always see her as the white woman who didn't belong. But Maren didn't care. Because she had Kitchi, had her children, had Shyla, who'd become like a mother to her, had a family, a real family, built on choice and love and refusing to leave anyone behind. The first year was adjustment. learning to be Kitchi's wife, learning Apache ways more deeply, learning to run a household this large, learning to belong. But Maren worked, as she'd always worked, harder than anyone, proving herself daily, and slowly, carefully, the ranch became home. Not just shelter, home. Owen thrived. His cough disappeared completely. He learned ranching from Kitchi, learned leadership, learned what it meant to be part of something bigger than yourself. At 13, he could ride better than most adults, could manage cattle, could negotiate trades. And when people asked, "Is that Kitchi's son?" no one corrected them anymore, because he was. In every way that mattered, Ivy blossomed into a confident 10-year-old, learned healing from Shyla, learned to speak Apache fluently, learned that being different, being the white girl in an Apache household, didn't make her less, made her special. She had a gift for medicine, for comforting people, for seeing what they needed before they asked. "She'll be a great healer," Shyla told Maren one day. "Maybe greater than me. She has the gift, the calling, the heart for it. Thank you. For teaching her, for accepting us." Shyla smiled. "I was wrong about you. I tested you, tried to break you, wanted you to fail so I could prove Kitchi wrong. But you didn't fail. You worked harder than anyone I've ever seen, loved your children fiercer than anything, and you brought Kitchi back to life. That's everything. I was blind, but you taught me to see. You became my ally, when I needed it most. When Kiona, when everything was falling apart, you stood up for me. I'll never forget that. You earned it by being strong, by being honorable, by proving that family isn't blood, it's choice. You chose us. We chose you back. That's how it should be." 2 years into the marriage, Maren had twins, boys, strong and healthy. Kitchi wept when they were born, held them like they were made of glass. "I thought I'd never have this again," he whispered, "after I lost my wife, lost my baby. I thought that part of my life was over. But you gave it back to me. Gave me hope, gave me family, gave me everything." "We gave it to each other," Maren corrected. "You saved me first, remember? We saved each other. That's how love works. It's not one person rescuing another. It's both people choosing to build something together, choosing every day, no matter what." 3 years later, they had a daughter, small, perfect, with Maren's blonde hair and Kitchi's dark eyes. 5 children total, a houseful, chaos and laughter and love. The ranch prospered. Kitchi's reputation grew. He became known as a fair leader, someone who honored tradition but wasn't enslaved by it, someone who valued character over status. People came to him for advice, for mediation, for justice. And Maren became known as the white woman who'd walked through a blizzard to save her children, who'd nearly given them away, who'd been saved by an Apache chief and married him. Her story spread, became legend. Other desperate women came to the ranch, widows, orphans, people with nowhere else to go. And Maren never turned them away, never forgot what it felt like to have nothing. She gave them work, food, hope, a chance. "You're building something important," Kitchi told her one night as they watched their children play. "Not just a family, a legacy. You're showing people what's possible, that love transcends race, that family is choice, that no one has to be left behind. That's powerful. That's everything. I'm just doing what you did for me. Seeing people who need help, helping them. It's not complicated. It's extraordinary. Just like you." 5 years after the wedding, Chief Ahiga visited again. He'd aged, moved slower, but his mind was sharp as ever. He found Maren in the garden, watched her work for a moment. "I came to apologize." Maren looked up, surprised. "For what?" "For almost making the biggest mistake of my life. For almost forcing Kitchi to marry Kiona. For almost destroying his happiness because I was too blind to see what was right in front of me. You corrected it. When you learned the truth, that's what matters. Still, I was wrong, and I wanted you to know, wanted you to hear me say it. You're an exceptional woman, Maren. You've been an exceptional wife to Kitchi, an exceptional mother to all those children, and you've taught our people something important. That worth isn't determined by birth. It's determined by character, by choices, by love. You've honored us by joining us. I was wrong to ever doubt that." Maren's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you. That means everything. You've earned it. 1,000 times over. He paused. Your children, all of them, they're being raised Apache, but they know their white heritage too. That's important. That's balance. That's how we build bridges instead of walls. Kitchi and I both believe that. They should know both worlds, honor both, be proud of both. That's wisdom. That's what makes you not just Kitchi's wife, but a leader in your own right, don't forget that. That evening the whole family gathered for dinner. All 5 children. Kitchi, Maren, Shyla. Extended family. Friends. Laughter filled the house. Stories. Love. Owen told a joke that made everyone groan. Ivy demonstrated a new healing technique she'd learned. The twins argued about horses. The baby laughed at everything. And Maren sat there, surrounded by noise and chaos and love, and marveled at how far she'd come. 5 years ago, she'd been walking through a blizzard to surrender her children, starving, desperate, convinced she was worthless. Now she had everything. A husband who loved her, 5 healthy children, a home, a community, a purpose. After dinner, Kitchi found her on the porch, wrapped his arms around her from behind. What are you thinking about? About that day, in the blizzard, when you found us. Best day of my life. You saved us. We saved each other. I was dead inside before you arrived, going through motions, existing but not living. You changed that. You brought me back to life, gave me purpose, gave me love, gave me everything I'd lost and more. So yeah, I saved you from freezing, but you saved me from something worse, from being alone, from giving up on happiness, from forgetting what love feels like. Maren turned to face him. I was so scared that day. Thought I was going to die, thought my children were going to die. And then you appeared. This Apache man on a horse, everything I'd been taught to fear. But you weren't fearsome. You were salvation. You were everything I needed. You were yours. I was always going to be yours. From the moment I saw you, I just didn't know it yet. I love you. So much. More than I can say. Then don't say it. Just show me. Every day. For the rest of our lives. That's all I need. Just you. Just us, just this family we've built. That's everything. That's victory. That's what makes life worth living. They stood there, holding each other, watching stars appear, and Maren understood something profound. She'd thought that day in the blizzard was the end, the worst day of her life, the day she lost everything, but it wasn't the end. It was the beginning of finding herself, finding love, finding a family that chose her. Walking into that storm had led her exactly where she needed to be, to a man who said, no one gets left behind, to children who thrived. 5 years later, Maren Colby stands on her porch watching 5 children play. Owen is training to run the ranch. Ivy is becoming a healer. The twins are learning to ride. The baby is learning to walk. And when travelers ask her, do you ever regret that day in the blizzard? She answers, I regret the desperation, the starvation, the fear. But I don't regret the journey, because walking into that storm led me to everything I never knew I needed, to a man who saw worth in me when I saw none in myself, to a family built on choice instead of blood, to a love that transcends race and tradition and every obstacle we faced. Kitchi didn't just save my children's lives. He saved mine. He taught me that worth isn't given, it's recognized. That family isn't blood, it's choice. That love isn't convenient, it's courageous. And that sometimes your darkest moment is just the doorway to everything you never imagined possible. So tell me in the comments, have you ever had a moment that felt like the end but was actually the beginning? Have you ever been saved by someone you feared? Have you ever learned that family is built, not born? Share this story with someone who needs to remember. You're never too broken to be loved, never too lost to be found, never too far gone to build something beautiful.